So this is just a quick video on identifying trends in the market. And so in general, I mean, this might be a bit basic for some members, but others that are, new, and even so, you still might learn something that you didn't spot before. So to identify a trend, I use channels. And as long as its stock stays in that channel, then that's the trend. So in the case of Tesla, who just put out there's just some news out on it that they're highly critical of the autopilot features in the new Tesla. But you can see this is in this channel, and at the top of the channel you can short, and at the bottom of the channel you can cover your shorts. But so this is obviously a very strong downtrending channel, and there'd be no reason to be looking to buy this stock at any time soon. Not until it changes direction, until we find a new trend. For now, the trend is down, but it is at the bottom of the channel. Now, having said that, you could cover your short and buy a bit at the bottom with a view that it's going to bounce. But if it doesn't, just trade sideways, you'd have to get out of the trade. I prefer not to fight the trend. If this is the trend and the trend is your friend, then I just stay short Tesla. I'm not looking to dip buy this at all at any time soon, and until it changes directions. Now, that's the longer term trend. Now we also have, on the shorter term, we have some trends. And in this case, this is an ascending wedge pattern. Higher lows, but higher highs as well, but not as steep. This is a bearish pattern, but it does give us a trend, and in that trend we see it's a bearish pattern in this completely downtrending bearish pattern like this. These are all places you could look to short when it breaks the trend. This was the uptrend, breaks it short, because this is still the major trend is in a downtrend. By separate token, this is obviously an uptrend, and it's the same thing but the inverse. This is just a 2-minute chart, it's not the daily chart like Tesla was. And so again, we don't want to fight the trend. The trend is up. There's lots of people, I shouldn't say lots of people, there are traders that just short stocks, and typically those traders are new traders that don't understand markets. They just short stocks because they're up, and they get hammered because the stocks go against them. There's no sense in fighting the trend until the trend changes direction. And I mean, when you're on the backside of the trend, the backside of the move, then you can short the stock. But here, this is the strong trend, and this was a wave 1, 2, big wave 3 up. And I'm sure when this, people were shorting it in this area here, thinking the trend had changed, but really, the trend, this was the channel like this, and it didn't really break down through the channel. It was really just making a U bottom in here, and then we were able to move the channel out to this level like this. And it continued on. This is still the front side of the move. Now you get this huge correction down, and it breaks the trend line. Now the trend has changed. Now you can look at going short this stock, because this is now what I would call the backside of the move. Big move down, wave 1. This is a wave 2 bounce, dead cat bounce. Big wave 3 down, which is usually the biggest wave. 4 consolidation, 5 down. Now we're in 5th wave consolidation at the bottom. But we can see that the trend is our friend in this stock. There's no reason to be looking to buy in this stock anytime soon. Not until it changes the trend. So you got this trend up, gets smacked. Now I had written here that when it got up to the top of the channel here, that this could be the top of the channel. You should be looking to sell some, and maybe we'll look for a first pullback entry opportunity or second pullback entry opportunity. But what happened was it came off so sharp and so steep that negated any thoughts of that trade, had a bounce to resistance, and then rolled over in big wave 3 down into here to wave 4, 5, fifth wave consolidation. So these are our two trends in this case. So obviously uptrend, downtrend, those are simple to find. But what happens when you get into a situation like this? That's not the one I wanted, sorry. Look at this chart, and there's more lines than I've had hot meals. There's lines everywhere. Like, what's the trend? Very, very difficult to find a trend in this type of chart. Where it sits now, we had this big, strong trend here, like this, on the Dow. But then it broke that trend, pulled back, consolidated. Looked like it was starting a new trend. Now, on the shorter term, it broke this trend, so the trend is down. But over the longer term, this is a neutral chart. It's not bullish or bearish. It does have to hold support here. And my feeling is the likelihood of this going lower is better than 50-50. Because it keeps coming down and testing this support level, holding it, but the more times it tests support, the more likely it's to go through it. And until it maybe, sets up a new pattern. So in this case, there is no trend. There's no, that's why I'm every time I come to this chart when we're doing the recaps, I just sort of stumble and not quite sure what to say, because the trend is very neutral. There's no, it's not up, it's not down. It's consolidation, but is it a consolidation before it rolls over and goes lower, or is this a consolidation for the next move up? If I was doing wave theory, I'd go 1, 2, and it's failing at the tops line here, and then look for a rollover for 3, but it would have to break through this support down in here before it defines a trend. At the moment, this Dow chart is trendless, so that happens. It's not unusual we get stocks that have no trend, or they're in a mid-trend. We can't really trade them. Let's see if I can find some more trendless stocks. ACB was in an uptrending channel. Now it's just, I guess the trend is sideways now. This is a consolidation, so do we call it a trend? I guess we could. This is just basing in here now. So we don't know if this is going to go up or down. That's the thing about the trendless chart, is we're not sure, we don't have a clear picture on which way this goes. If it breaks support in here, then it goes down. If it breaks this wedge and pops to the upside, and this was a good example of that chart here on the cron. This was in the downtrend, and it broke this declining tops line and held at the apex of this wedge. It held that, and so maybe this. And so what I was betting, not gambling is something that we normally do, but my theory is, that's maybe a better term, is that this is now a change in the trend, and the trend is going to be to the upside as this breaks out of this declining tops line. So there's just an overview of trends and what they mean.